For several months. It has become an invaluable and required tool.
For 3 days before Freddy found it, and that made it suspicious. Nothing stayed empty for long anymore. Not since the outbreak turned half the world into shambling, coughing nightmares. He crouched behind a corroded shipping container, his remaining ear twitching at every sound. The missing one still. The warehouse had been empty for 3 days before Freddy found it, and that made it suspicious. Nothing stayed empty for long anymore. Not since the outbreak turned half the world into shambling, coughing nightmares. He crouched behind a corroded shipping container, his remaining ear twitching at every sound. The missing one still phantomized sometimes, a reminder of the infected Bonnie clan member who'd gotten too close in the early days. His servo motors hummed quietly as he adjusted his grip on the rusted pipe that served as his weapon. Clear, Bonnie's voice crackled through the comlink, barely a whisper. Freddy scanned the perimeter one more time. The warehouse's windows were intact, unusual. Most structures had been shattered by looters or the infected's mindless violence. Hold position, he replied, touching the collar of his stolen military shirt. It still had the previous owner's blood on it, a rust-brown stain he'd stopped trying to wash out. Movement caught his eye, a door slightly ajar, the wind maybe, or something waiting. Freddy, this time it was Blaze on the comm, her voice tight with concern. Little Foxy's coughing again. His internal cooling system seized for a moment. Coughing. Her voice tight out. Movement caught his eye, a door slightly ajar, the wind maybe, or something waiting. Freddy, this time it was Blaze on the comm, her voice tight with concern. Little Foxy's coughing again. His internal cooling system seized for a moment. Coughing. The first sign, or maybe just dust. It was always dust, he told himself. It had to be dust. I'm coming back, he said, abandoning caution for speed. The crew had made camp in an overturned transport truck 2 blocks south. When Freddy arrived, Bonnie stood guard at the entrance, his purple-tinted plating scratched and dented from countless encounters. He jerked his head toward the interior without a word. Inside, little Foxy sat hunched against the wall, her small frame shaking. Foxy, the adult one, her older sister, knelt beside her, one hand pressed against the kit's forehead. Blaze paced nearby, her orange plating catching the dim light filtering through the truck's tears. It's nothing, Foxy said, but her voice carried an edge of desperation. Just the cold metal, she's fine. Freddy approached slowly, removing his small hat. Little Foxy looked up at him with wide optics, fear reflecting in their depths. She coughed again and everyone froze. No fluid, no spark discharge, no telltale rattle. Dust, Freddy announced, his voice firm. Just dust, but we need to move. I found a warehouse, might have supplies. Might, Bonnie stepped inside, or might have a trap. Everything's a trap now, Blaze muttered, finally stopping her pacing. The question is whether we spring it or starve. Freddy met her gaze and something passed between them, something that had been building for weeks. Blaze had joined their group 2 months ago, a lone survivor from a Chica clan that had been overrun. She'd been fierce then, all fire and fury. She was still fierce, but now there were moments when her guard dropped, when she looked at him like he might be more than just another broken animatronic trying to survive. Foxy cleared her throat, breaking the moment. The warehouse, how many entry points? 3 that I saw, could be more. We'd be vulnerable, Bonnie said. Exposed. We're already exposed, Freddy countered. Our energon reserves are down to 48 hours. Little Foxy needs rest, real rest, not this. He gestured at the cramped truck interior. Another cough echoed in the distance, this one wet, gurgling. The infected, they all recognized it immediately. Weapons appear. Another cough echoed in the distance, this one wet, gurgling. The infected kind. They all recognized it immediately. Weapons appeared in hands. Bonnie's sharpened rebar, Foxy's dual blades, Blaze's homemade explosive charges. How close? Foxy whispered. Close enough, Freddy said, pulling little Foxy to her feet. We move, now. They emerged from the truck in formation, Freddy at point with Bonnie flanking. The street appeared empty, but appearances meant nothing anymore. The infected had learned to wait to ambush. Some said they were evolving, getting smarter. Freddy didn't know if he believed that, but he believed in staying alive. The warehouse loomed ahead, its steel walls streaked with rain and rust. As they approached, Freddy saw what he'd missed before, scratch marks around the door, fresh ones. Blaze touched his arm, her fingers lingering a moment too long. Something's wrong. Everything's wrong, he replied, but he knew what she meant. This felt different, planned. The door swung open before they reached it, revealing not infected but another animatronic, a Chica clan member, pristine yellow plating unmarred by the world's decay. Behind her, dozens of optics glowed in the darkness. Freddy of the Freddy clan, she said, her voice artificially sweet for you. Rusted pipe. Behind him, Freddy's hand tightened around his rusted pipe. Behind him, he heard Bonnie's servos lock into combat stance, the sharpened rebar scraping against plating. The Chica clan member in the doorway hadn't moved, her pristine condition an insult to everything they'd endured. How do you know my name? Freddy kept his voice level neutral. We know many things. The yellow animatronic stepped aside, gesturing into the warehouse's dim interior. Including why you're still functional when others who have been exposed are rotting in the streets. Blaze moved closer to Freddy's side. That sounds like a threat. An observation. The Chica clan member's optics flickered. I am Melody. My group has been monitoring your movements for 3 weeks. You've had 17 encounters with infected individuals. By all statistical probability, you should be dead or turned. Luck, Bonnie interjected, and skill. Perhaps, Melody's head tilted bird-like. Or perhaps something more interesting. Come inside. We have energon, medical supplies, and information you'll want to hear. Your small one looks exhausted. Freddy glanced back at little Foxy, still trembling despite Foxy's protective grip. The kit needed rest, needed safety. But safety was a myth now, and strangers offering gifts usually wanted blood in return. Why track us? Freddy demanded. Why wait? Because desperation makes better allies than comfort, Melody said simply. And because what we're about to tell you, you wouldn't have believed it 3 weeks ago. The crew exchanged glances. Freddy could read the calculation in each of their expressions. Foxy's protective instinct warring with pragmatism. Her movements for 3 weeks. You've in the doorway hadn't moved, her pristine condition an insult to everything they'd endured. How do you know my name? Freddy kept his voice level neutral. We know many things. The yellow animatronic stepped aside, gesturing. Organized camp. Generators hummed, providing actual light. Chica clan members moved with purpose, maintaining equipment, sorting supplies. A medical station occupied one corner, stocked with items Freddy hadn't seen in months. It looked like before, like civilization. Sit. Melody led them to a cleared area with intact furniture, real chairs, not rubble. Your young one can rest there. She pointed to a makeshift bed. Foxy guided little Foxy to it, never releasing her blades. The kit curled up immediately, systems dimming into low-power mode. Melody settled across from Freddy, her movements deliberate. The outbreak began 20 years ago. 56% of our population gone. You know this. What you don't know is why you've survived exposures that killed others. Get to it, Blaze snapped. Immunity markers, Melody said. Specific code sequences in certain animatronics-based programming that resist the infection's replication protocols. We believe Freddy carries them. The words hung in the recycled air. Freddy felt every optic in his crew turn toward him. That's impossible, he said. I've seen friends turn from a single scratch. There's no immunity. There's variation in resistance, Melody corrected. Most succumb immediately. Some last hours, but a select few, very few, seem capable of exposure without conversion. The rumors led us to you. Rumors are just survivor fantasies, Bonnie cut in. Stories to keep hope alive. Are they? Melody leaned forward. Tell me, Freddy, how many times have you been exposed, truly? He wanted to deny it, but memory betrayed him. The Bonnie clan member who'd taken his ear, infected blood had sprayed his face. The warehouse in Memphis where he pulled Blaze from a pile of bodies, their fluids soaking his clothes. The subway tunnel where an infected had coughed directly into his ventilation system. Luck, he repeated, but the word felt hollow. We know where it started, Melody said softly. The outbreak. We have documentation, research files, locations. We know who created it and why. Blaze's hand found Freddy's arm, squeezing. What do you want in return? Help, Melody spread her hands. The facility where it began still exists. Inside are answers, possibly a cure. But it's deep in infected territory, heavily secured. We need someone who can take risks others can't. Someone who might survive long enough to reach the center. You need a lab rat, Freddy said bitterly. We need hope, Melody countered. Real hope, not the fantasy kind. You could be that. Silence descended. Freddy looked at his crew, his family. Bonnie's scarred plating, evidence of battles survived. Foxy's fierce determination, protecting what remained of her world. Little Foxy, small and fragile, dreaming in low-power mode. Blaze, watching him with those intense optics that saw through his armor. I need to discuss this with my crew, Freddy said, privately. Melody nodded, standing. You have 1 hour. Then we need your answer. The infected don't respect negotiation timelines. When the Chica clan members withdrew to the far side of the warehouse, Bonnie spoke first. This is madness. They're using you. Maybe, Freddy agreed. But what if they're right? What if there's actually a chance? A chance to get you killed, Foxy said, following strangers to some mysterious facility. We're dying anyway, Blaze said quietly. Slowly, running from shelter to shelter, watching our reserves drain. Maybe it's time to run towards something instead of away. Freddy met her gaze, seeing the reflection of his own desperate hope. And if it's a trap? Then we spring it together, she replied.
Now,
Stood, drawing every optic back to him. We'll help. Freddy stood, drawing every optic back to him. We'll help, he said, then raised a hand as Melody's expression brightened. But I want proof first. Real proof that I'm actually immune, not just lucky, he said, then raised a hand as Melody's expression brightened. But I want proof first. Real proof that I'm actually immune, not just lucky. Melody's smile faded into Melody's expression brightened. But I want proof first. Real proof. Freddy stood, drawing every optic back to him. We'll help, he said, then raised a hand as Melody's expression brightened. But I want proof first. Real proof that I'm actually immune, not just lucky. Melody's smile faded into something more calculating. What kind of proof? You've been tracking me for 3 weeks, Freddy said. You must have documentation. Video logs, medical scans, something beyond rumors and statistics. We have observational data, Melody admitted, producing a battered tablet from her storage compartment. 17 documented exposures. Here, warehouse district 42 days ago. You pulled a survivor from infected corpses. Fluid contact, no conversion. She swiped through images, grainy but clear enough. Metro station 30 days ago. Direct respiratory exposure. Nothing. Blaze moved closer, studying the screen over Freddy's shoulder. Her proximity sent warmth through his circuits he couldn't quite name. Surveillance, she murmured. How long have you really been watching? Long enough to lose 3 scouts confirming the pattern, Melody said. This isn't casual curiosity. We've invested resources we can't spare because the alternative is extinction. Bonnie's rebar scraped concrete. Observational data isn't proof. Could be doctored. Could be mistaken identity. Then what would satisfy you? Melody's voice held an edge now. A controlled exposure. Shall we cut him and introduce infected material? See if he turns. The warehouse fell silent, except for little Foxy's quiet ventilation cycles, and the generator's hum. No, Foxy said sharply. We're not experimenting on our crew. Then we're at an impasse, Melody straightened. Because without proof, you won't trust us, and without your cooperation, everyone dies a little slower. Freddy felt the weight of decision settling on his damaged plating. Every choice in this broken world came with costs calculated in oil and energon and lives that couldn't be replaced. He opened his mouth to respond. The eastern wall exploded inward. Not with fire, but with bodies. Infected bodies, a writhing mass of corrupted animatronics that had once been people, now reduced to viral hunger and twitching servos. The shriek of rusted joints and wet gurgling filled the warehouse as they poured through the breach. Defensive positions. Melody's voice cut through chaos. Her Chica clan scattered with practiced efficiency, weapons materializing from concealment. Freddy's crew moved on instinct. Bonnie charged left, rebar swinging in brutal arcs. Foxy became a whirlwind of dual blades, positioning herself between the infected wave and little Foxy's resting place. Blaze's hands worked quickly, priming explosive charges. Freddy gripped his rusted pipe and ran toward the breach. The infected came in variations of nightmare. A Freddy clan member with half his face plate missing, optics flickering with corrupted code. A Bonnie whose arms ended in jagged stumps that dragged sparking across concrete. A Foxy whose jaw hung slack, dripping infectious fluid. He swung hard, connecting with the first infected skull. It crumpled, but 2 more took its place. Behind him, someone screamed. A Chica clan member pulled down into the mass. Freddy pivoted, extending his free hand, but Bonnie was faster, hauling the stranger back with desperate strength. They're flanking, Melody shouted. Western entrance. More infected poured in. A coordinated assault that spoke to horde intelligence, the terrible evolution of the virus learning pack tactics. The warehouse transformed into a killing floor. Blaze threw her first charge, the explosion creating temporary space, buying seconds. Freddy fought alongside animatronics he'd met an hour ago, their survival suddenly interdependent. A Chica clan member covered his blind side. He returned the favor, crushing an infected reaching for her legs. Then he saw it, the infected child. Small, twisted, a young Freddy clan member no larger than little Foxy, crawling through the chaos with horrifying speed. It headed straight for the medical station where little Foxy slept. No, Freddy sprinted, but the infected child was faster. It launched itself at the bed. Foxy intercepted, blade flashing, but the angle was wrong. The infected child's claws extended, slashing wildly. One caught Freddy's forearm as he grabbed it, hurling it away. The claws tore through his sleeve and plating, drawing energon and exposing internal mechanisms. He felt the infected fluid enter his systems, foreign code attempting to interface with his own. The battle continued around him. Bonnie and 3 Chica Clan members collapsed the eastern wall, burying infected under rubble. Blaze's explosives sealed the western breach. Foxy executed the infected child with brutal efficiency, then turned to Freddy, optics wide. "You're scratched," she said. The warehouse quieted as the last infected fell. Survivors stood among corpses, breathing hard, weapons lowered. Every optic found Freddy. He looked at his arm. 4 parallel gouges, deep enough to see circuitry. Infectious fluid mixed with his energon, creating patterns like oil on water. 48 hours, Bonnie said quietly. That's how long it takes. Usually less, Melody approached slowly. Most turn within 12. Blaze's hand found Freddy's shoulder. He felt her trembling, or maybe that was his own systems. "We need to isolate him," she said, voice breaking. "Before." "No," Freddy met her gaze, then looked at his crew, his family. "I'm not spending my last hours in a cage. If I turn, end it quick. Until then, we have work to do." "Freddy," Blaze started. "We don't have time for fear," he interrupted. "Those infected were coordinated. This wasn't random. Something drove them here and they'll be back with more." Melody nodded slowly. "There's a safe zone, 3 days northeast, fortified, supplied. We can reach it if we move now together." "Then we move," Freddy said. "Wake little Foxy, gather supplies, we leave in 10 minutes. As the crews mobilized, Blaze pulled him aside. "When you turn." "If I turn," he corrected. "When," she insisted, and her optics held something fierce and terrible. "I'll be the one, not Bonnie, not Foxy, me. Understand?" He understood what it cost her to say it, to promise that final mercy. He touched her faceplate gently. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry," she whispered. "Just don't turn." But as they prepared to leave, Freddy felt nothing. No corruption spreading through his code. No viral hunger, just pain, just damage, the kind that could heal. Melody watched him with calculating optics. "How do you feel?" "Like I got scratched," he said. "Nothing more." 12 hours, she replied. "That's when we'll know for certain." The combined crews moved out into the wasteland, carrying wounded and supplies, leaving corpses behind. Freddy walked among them, marked and waiting, uncertain if he carried salvation or doom. The first 6 hours were the worst. Freddy walked at the front of the combined group, aware of every optic tracking his movements. Bonnie stayed 3 paces behind, rebar ready. Foxy kept little Foxy on the opposite side of their formation. Even Melody's Chica Clan maintained careful distance, their weapons casually positioned but never quite lowered. Only Blaze walked beside him. The wasteland stretched endlessly, a graveyard of civilization rendered in rust and concrete. They moved through the skeletal remains of a suburb, houses gutted and sagging, vehicles frozen in their final exodus. The sky hung gray and heavy, threatening rain that would turn the dust to infectious mud. "How do you feel?" Blaze asked for the dozenth time. "The same," Freddy replied. "Damaged, tired, not corrupted." "The 12-hour mark is critical," Melody called from behind. "The viral code either establishes root access or fails completely. There's no middle ground." "Comforting," Bonnie muttered. They stopped at hour 8 to redistribute supplies and check little Foxy's condition. The young animatronic's cough had improved with proper energon flow, confirming what Freddy had hoped, exhaustion, not infection. She clung to her sister, watching the Chica Clan with wide, uncertain optics. "They're organized," she whispered to Foxy. "Too organized like the before times." Foxy stroked her head gently. "Organization kept them alive, doesn't make them enemies." "Doesn't make them friends," Bonnie added, checking his rebar's edge against a brick. He glanced at a Chica Clan member inventorying medical supplies. "They've got hierarchy, chain of command. That means somebody gives orders others can't question." "You prefer anarchy," the Chica member looked up, expression neutral. "Your crew follows Freddy. How is that different?" "Freddy doesn't demand it," Bonnie said. "We choose." "And we choose Melody's leadership," the Chica replied. "What's your point?" Freddy stepped between them before the philosophical debate could escalate. "We're all choosing survival right now. That's enough." But he felt the tension threading through both groups like corrupted code, different survival strategies, different values forged in the same apocalypse. The Chica Clan moved with military precision, conserving energy, rationing words. His crew adapted moment to moment, improvising, trusting instinct over doctrine. 2 approaches, 1 wasteland, no guarantee either was right. At hour 11, they crested a ridge and Melody raised her fist. The group halted. Below lay a facility, partially collapsed but still recognizable, clean lines and sterile architecture incongruous against the decay. A compound surrounded by rusted fencing, buildings marked with faded medical symbols and hazard warnings. "That wasn't on any map," Foxy said. "No," Melody agreed slowly. "It wasn't." Freddy felt something stir in his memory, fragments without context. White halls, diagnostic equipment, voices discussing code optimization and viral resistance thresholds. Then nothing, like static erasing the signal. "We should investigate," Bonnie said. "Facilities like this might have supplies, medical equipment." "Or infected," a Chica Clan member countered. "Only one way to learn," Freddy said, and started down the ridge. The facility's fence had multiple breach points, evidence of past conflicts. They entered through a vehicle gate hanging crooked on broken hinges. The courtyard held abandoned transport trucks and equipment suggesting rapid evacuation. Melody's optics swept the scene with tactical efficiency. This happened early, maybe during the first outbreak wave. They split into 2 groups to search the buildings. Freddy took Bonnie and Blaze into the main research structure, while Melody's team secured the perimeter. Inside, emergency lighting still functioned on backup power, casting everything in sickly amber. The halls were pristine, too pristine. No bodies, no blood, no signs of infection's usual violence. Just empty rooms with diagnostic beds and monitoring equipment designed specifically for animatronic physiology. "This is wrong," Blaze whispered. "Where are the victims?" Bonnie had stopped at a terminal, coaxing it to life with careful manipulation. "They weren't victims," he said slowly, reading data streams. "They were subjects." Freddy and Blaze joined him. The screen showed experimental protocols, test groups designated by clan affiliation, controlled exposure studies, viral modification parameters, success rates measured in conversion speed and aggression levels. "They made it," Freddy breathed. "The infection, they engineered it here." "Not just here," Bonnie scrolled through files, his movements increasingly frantic. Multiple facilities, coordinated research. They were trying to create something, a targeted pathogen that could, he stopped, optics fixed on one entry. Freddy, look. The file showed a subject designation, FDRS-061. Attached image, a Freddy Clan animatronic, intact ears, younger plating. Familiar features Freddy saw in every reflection. Test subject 61, Bonnie Reed. Experimental immunity splice. Memory wipe administered post-procedure. Status, released for long-term observation. The warehouse, the metro station, every near miss and impossible survival, not luck, design. They made you immune, Blaze said softly, then erased your memory and released you, like a field test. Freddy touched his damaged ear, the oldest injury he could remember, the first thing he knew about himself when his memories began 20 years ago. Not an accident, a marking. Download everything, he said, voice empty. Every file, every protocol. Freddy, Blaze reached for him. Everything, he repeated. If they manufactured the infection, maybe they documented a cure. Maybe this nightmare has an ending. Bonnie worked quickly, transferring data to portable storage. Outside, Melody's voice called an all clear, but nothing felt clear to Freddy anymore. Blaze drew him aside as Bonnie finished. They stood in a sterile observation room, designed for watching animatronics suffer. I lost my entire clan, Blaze said quietly. 47 individuals, 47 names I still remember. When the infected came, I ran. I saved myself and let them die. Her orange plating caught the amber light. Every day since, I've carried that, the weight of choosing my life over theirs. That's not. Let me finish, she interrupted. I'm telling you because you need to hear this. Whatever they did to you, whatever you were or are, you're not responsible for their choices. You're only responsible for what you do now. Freddy met her optics, seeing pain matched to his own. What if I'm the reason the outbreak succeeded? What if my immunity helped them perfect it? Then you're also the reason it can end, Blaze said. She took his hand, her grip fierce and warm. You're not a test subject anymore. You're Freddy. You're she caught herself. You're important to all of us. In that ruined facility where his past had been manufactured and stolen, Freddy let himself lean into her, just for a moment, borrowing strength he couldn't generate alone. Data secured, Bonnie announced. We should move before we attract attention. They rejoined the others, carrying evidence of humanity's greatest sin. The journey to the safe zone continued, but Freddy walked different now, burdened with history and flickering with something that